leverage around labor, which is you buy other people's time. So that is the first version of leverage. So is there something that I'm currently doing that I can pay someone else to do to gain time back and then use the excess time I have to make up the difference? They search for the medication rather than confronting the problem.
If you haven't gotten what you want, then you're not worthy of it, period. And that's okay. Now you can admit that you suck and improve. Better to know you're bad for a season than pretend you're good for a lifetime. You're not making as much money as you want because you're not as good as you think you are. You're not struggling from imposter syndrome. You're a student and pretending to be a teacher. No students say they feel like frauds for trying to learn. You're a fraud when you get up to teach the class and you've never done it.
Deep. I think it's just giving yourself permission to suck. It's giving yourself permission to be unhappy. It's giving yourself permission to not achieve while you do for a long period of time. It's giving yourself permission to lose friends. It's giving yourself permission to do things that's different than people in your social circle or your age group are doing. It's giving you permission, giving yourself permission to be an exception so that you can become exceptional. And a lot of that, the whole positive poly mantra of like that, I saw a post a girl made and she was like, you are worthy. And that's what made that tweet. All my tweets are just responses to shit I see. And so this girl was like, I say this to myself in the morning, like, you are worthy, you are amazing, you are a goddess. And I was like, you're not a goddess because you don't control me. And you don't have the things that you want. You keep thinking that you saying that you're worthy is going to somehow make it true. But like the way that you know you're worthy is that you have it. That's it. Like that is the litmus test. The way that you know you're worthy is that you have it. That's it. Like that is the litmus test. Are you worthy of $1 billion? Well, are you a billionaire? No, then you're not worthy. And so just like, I think we have these things, it's just like you're unbalanced. It's like, you're not worthy. There's these things that we're programmed to say, oh, that's bad. You have to tell everyone they're worthy. Everyone's beautiful. No, if everyone are beautiful, then no one's beautiful. And yet again, we're back at square one. And so it's I guess drinking the tonic, it's going through the shit, which is honestly the boring stuff that no one wants to do for an extended period of time. And accepting that you suck. And that it is okay, because the first step is accepting that you suck so that you can do the second step, which is doing something about it.
What about you're not making as much money as you want because you're not as good as you think you are?
I'm obviously in the business space, and that follows up with the other one with the imposter syndrome, right? People are like, man, how do you not suffer from imposter syndrome? I was like, because I've done what I said I've done. And the people who get up on stage and try and teach a class on shit they haven't done, it's like that, like you feel like an imposter when you're an imposter. Like, don't try and kill that voice. Listen to that voice and get the evidence to make that voice shut the fuck up. Like, if I get on stage and I say I can bench 315, is there like, do I feel like an imposter when I say that? No, I state facts. Yeah.
Each time that you do something new, by definition, you're an imposter because you haven't done it before. Now, if you're teaching, that's different. But if you're growing sufficiently quickly, most of the time it's fresh snow.
So this is a topic I love, but I think the difference between doing something new and being an imposter is one is pretending to be something that they're not. They want the really strong character. They want the easy life. Like one is the price of the other. You have a hard life to have great character. You have an easy life. You have shitty character. Everything came easy. You want to grow. You don't want hardship. Hardship creates growth. And so they want both, and you can't. Like, it's wanting the Jordans without paying the price. And the price isn't bad. It's just the price is what it is. And so it's just, do you want the Jordans or not? And if you do, then don't lament the price tag. Pay the price tag and be happy you have the Jordans. And if you don't want the Jordans, then don't buy them. In the early days, hard was, ooh, stop. This isn't good. I should. This is a warning sign. This is a red flag. I should slow down, or I should stop. I should pivot. But the more I think about it as a competitive landscape, as I'm clear on what this path is supposed to look like, and these rocks and these dragons are things that I'm going to have to slay along the way to get the princess or get the treasure, I get happier about the harder it is because I know that no one else will follow.
It's a selection effect.
And I think if you can shift from this is hard to no one else will be able to do this, then it flips from being this thing that you're like, oh, poor me, to oh, poor everyone else who's going to have to fucking try, unless you're weak, right? Right? But right now, no one will see you coming. If you have nothing going for you, it's another way of saying that you have nothing to lose. And so it means that you have endless shots on goal. And so you should be the most prone to taking action because there's nothing holding you back. What do you have? Nothing.
I love that.
It's literally just voices in your head from your mom who say that you're not going to win. And you say, you're right, mom. And then you keep doing it anyways.
Yeah, I love in Ogmanio's book, I love the World's Greatest Salesman.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite books.
Yes.
And he talks about in one section, most people let their mindset control their actions. What if you let your actions determine your mindset? Do it when you don't feel like doing it. Move forward anyway.
It drives me nuts. Like, they search for the medication rather than confronting the problem. Like, you don't have an anxiety problem. You need to deal with whatever the thing you're worried about is. Like, I mean, man, I have too many controversial beliefs. I'm getting into too much of them. Like, you drink a lot because you're stressed. If you deal with the thing that stresses you, that's the trigger for you drinking. So yes, there's addictive properties to drinking. I'm not denying that. But the thing that leads to the drinking, the condition that creates that, that's something that you can attack.
If you can be in a bad mood for no reason, you might as well be in a good mood for no reason. If it's not going to change your life, it shouldn't change your mood. If the cost is peace of mind, don't buy it.
Yeah, if you can be in a bad mood for no reason, then you can be in a good mood for no reason. Which means that if you can do something that's amazing and still have a shit day, it means you can do something that sucks and have a good day. Which means the entire excuse around, I don't want to do all these hard things because as a proxy it makes my mood sad, is ridiculous, because it means that we are ultimately in control of how we want to perceive the work that we do. Leverage around labor, which is you buy other people's time. So that is the first version of leverage. So is there something that I'm currently doing that I can pay someone else to do to gain time back and then use the excess time I have to make up the difference? So if I can pay someone $10 an hour and I know that I can make $50 an hour on the phone selling, then I can pay somebody to do any of my tasks for $10 and then I make up the time selling.
Stay on that.
You got to work double time. There's no real sexy answer that I have for that, which is just like, you have to work the normal amount you would to make your money, and then you have to make enough, and then you work again to make someone else's money. And that's in the beginning. So it's like, I'm making my job and I'm making someone else's job so that I can buy that time that I used to work to pay someone else to then make more money in that period of time.
Really good.
And the big thing that I think a lot of guys, because on the flip side of the entrepreneur space, the influencer or whatever space, people are always talking about buying your time back, but then they don't talk about what you do with the time you bought back. So if you just buy your time back and don't do anything, you're going to make less money. Like, just want to be clear. Yeah. But because I had an entrepreneur who was talking, he was like, I bought all my time back. He's like, but I'm really not making it. I was like, you're not doing anything. Like, you still need to work. You just got to now work on higher leverage opportunities, more dollars per time. So in that input is my time, my output is my money. So it's a higher leverage thing of my time.
What are the other three?
So you got labor, which is the most operationally complex and heavy of the types of leverage. The next one is capital. If you can raise money, leverage other people. That's the one that, the mortgage brokers that they're more familiar with, real estate guys. Because if I don't have to put any money up and I can buy something and then I can sell it for more money, then I get to make the difference between those two things. And I used it on basically someone else took the time to earn the money, and then they just gave me that time. If you think of money as a tradable unit of time, that I got to borrow and then make the difference on something. The third one, and I think 3 and 4 kind of go hand in hand, but it's, you've got software, so code, and then media. So code is just, you write code and it takes you one-time investment to get the thing to do something, and then every additional time, so the input was the time I took to build once, and then every additional person who uses the software and gets a benefit from it, I get almost no incremental cost. And so that's leverage. And then with the media side, we said it earlier, if it takes the amount of time for us to make this one podcast, if one person listens to this or 1 million people listen to this, it's the same amount of effort.
Yeah. I told you guys when I introduced them that this would be stuff you've not heard before. And it is. There's another type of leverage. I found out later that I was constantly trying to prove a fictitious person wrong. Meaning the type of leverage that I got on myself when I was young was, I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to prove them wrong. And it was like this. I think the best way to describe me as an early entrepreneur was a little bit angry. And I leveraged intensity. I leveraged anger. I actually leveraged fear of losing to this fictitious person, of them being right. Would you recommend someone operate out of that space? And talk about your own journey on it.
I would recommend you use the resources you have to create the life you want. And so if the cards that you have dealt right now are anger and fear and disappointment, then you can either wallow in those or you can turn something good out of it. And so, I mean, I love the saying, you can either let life beat the strength out of you or you can let it beat it into you. And I think that you can use that. You could put pain, you could put disappointment, you could put fear, you could put whatever that life, thing is. And so it's just a decision of whether these circumstances are going to serve me or I'm going to serve them. And so I think that whatever your raw materials are, a lot of people lament what cards they're dealt, but you don't have control over those cards. You only have control of how you play the hand. And so I think everyone just needs to move past that and, stop the pissing contest on who had a sadder upbringing.
Yeah, I also think, though, that you have to be, if you're making progress, one of the things that's made Jordan great or Brady great is changing the leverage they get on themselves. So it's not that Tom Brady still isn't playing football to prove the fact that he was a 6th-round draft pick, right? But this notion that that's what he gets up every single day with, that's the chip on his shoulder anymore, is not true. Right. He's now playing for greatness. He's playing because it's his standard. He's praying to... So, and I find with a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't ever change the leverage. And so when they get to where they have proved that fictitious person wrong, or they have gotten to where they are no longer starving, they don't have any mechanism to drive themselves any further. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
I think a lot of people are just oblivious to the fact that you've lost leverage. I'm not motivated anymore. I'm not inspired. It's because the old lever you pulled that worked at one stage, you need to now find. Jordan used to say, listen, I play every day, but Jordan didn't take a bunch of games off. He'd say, because there's a kid in the stands who it's the one time he's ever going to see me play is that night in Sacramento. And even though it's the Kings, I'm going to play all out because that kid's going to tell stories about seeing me play. That's different than his motivation his rookie year to prove he belonged in the league, right? Entrepreneurs don't find that new lever.
When I talk about advertising, when I talk about selling, I talk about those things boiled down to the actual actions because I had to think of it in that way because it was the only way that it wasn't overwhelming. It's like I just have to make 100 reach outs, or I just have to spend $100 a day and I have to look at the ads and I have to turn off the ones that are bad and do more of the stuff that starts to work. And that was the process of getting me from kind of like dark to a better outcome. But I mean, from that actual point, we did the only thing we knew how to do, which is market and sell. That single skill of being able to generate leads, independent of the industry, has been like my get out of jail free card, which has allowed me to fail over and over and over again until finally, I got it right. And even after that one, when we were at the rock bottom there, I had just, 90 days earlier, gotten a DUI. My mom was in the hospital, really bad shape. That's when I had just lost all the money, which is when I pulled her aside. But then fast forward 6 months, basically repeated the cycle again.